I have to admit, when today's watch arrived, I really was asking myself, does this even belong on my dude watch? Then I realized I was asking the wrong questions, and today that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Hey, there you are, and welcome to my dude watch. My name is Jason, and today we're going to do something just a little bit different. I've reviewed a lot of watches over the years. Some I've absolutely loved, others not so much. But every once in a while, a watch arrives that really challenges not just your opinion, but how you've actually looked at watches. And today is one of those watches. You do not want to miss this. This is going to be fun. You know the deal. Grab a snack, pull up a chair, and let's talk watches. Now, before we get started, I want to thank A.B.Art for sending over this guy for review. As always, they haven't previewed this video. They haven't approved anything you're about to hear. All of these opinions are my own after spending time with this watch. Now let's get started as we always do, right here with the tail of the tape. All right, let's meet the watch that started this conversation. This is the A.B.Art 265 Jump Date. This is a watch that just kind of changed the way I think about watches. And we will talk a little more about that in just a little bit later. The Jump Date measures in at 41 millimeters in case diameter with a very wearable 46.5 millimeter lug-to-lug and an incredibly thin profile of just 6.5 millimeters. The case is crafted with clean stainless steel and topped with a scratch-resistant sapphire crystal. Power in this guy is a Swiss Ronda 715 quartz movement, and it's paired with a 20 millimeter stainless steel mesh bracelet, and its water resistance is rated to 30 meters. Now, on paper, these are just the numbers, but this watch taught me something. Specs can be great, but they don't tell you the whole story or what this watch is trying to be. Now, I'll be honest, my first reaction wasn't, wow, I love this watch. It was more like, yeah, I'm just not getting it. And I think it was because I was looking at it through the lens of someone who spends most of his time reviewing dive watches, chronographs, and everyday tool watches. This was really something completely different. But instead of deciding how I felt about the watch on day one, I made a commitment to live with it for a while. I wore this watch to work, I wore it around town, I wore it everywhere I could possibly wear it. I wanted to give it every opportunity to tell its story before I told mine. And for the first few days, I'll be honest, I wasn't connecting with it. Then something happened I really wasn't expecting. This morning after church, I came home still wearing my suit and dress shirt. Before coming in to record, I picked up this watch, put it back on my wrist, and instantly it looked different. And I realized it wasn't the watch that changed, it was the setting. For the previous few days, I've been wearing it with jeans, polo shirts, and casual clothes, trying to make it fit into a part of my life that, quite honestly, it never felt at home with. But today, paired with a suit and dress shirt, suddenly it clicked. The thinner profile, the clean Bajas design, the understated dial, and it finally made sense. And that's when I realized I've been asking the wrong question. Instead of asking if this watch could fit into my world, I should be asking what world was this watch designed for? Once I stopped trying to make this watch fit into my world, I started appreciating it for the world it was designed to live in. The more time I spent with it, the more I realized that very little about this watch is accidental. Every design choice feels intentional. The clean Bajas-inspired dial, the remarkably thin case, the understated use of color, even the decision to use a Swiss quartz movement. None of these choices were made to impress you and I on a spec sheet. They were actually made to create a watch that's elegant, comfortable, and effortless to wear. And I have to say, the quality of the watch head genuinely impresses me. The machining on the case is very nice, the finishing is clean and precise, and despite only being 6.5 millimeters thick, it never feels delicate or fragile. It feels thoughtfully engineered. Now, I haven't changed my mind on everything, and we'll get into that in just a minute, but by this point, I realized I wasn't looking at a fashion watch trying to imitate a luxury piece. I was looking at a purpose-built watch that simply wasn't trying to compete in the same lane as watches I usually review. And once I accepted that, I started seeing this watch very differently. Now, what about the operations of this watch? Of course, the feature that immediately draws your attention is the jump date display, and honestly, I've never reviewed another watch quite like this. Instead of placing the date in a traditional window, A.B.Art uses a small red indicator that points to the current date around the outer edge of the dial. It's clean, it's understated, and it's one of those details that quietly reveals itself the longer you spend time with the watch. Now, one thing I want to point out that I think is pretty interesting is the date advances in a counterclockwise direction around the dial. That's something I never experienced before, and I have to admit, I found myself messing around with it more than once just because it was so different. This complication fits the philosophy of the watch. It isn't trying to grab your attention, it's simply another thoughtful design that keeps the dial clean, balanced, and uncluttered. In a world where so many watches begin to look alike, I really appreciate A.B.Art having the confidence to do something different. You have reached that part of the video where we put it all together and try to make sense of it all. We like to call this segment Gripes and Likes. Now, no watch is perfect, and while my opinion of this watch changed quite a bit over the last several days, there are still a couple of things that I think could be improved. The first one is the bracelet, and I'll be honest, we just never became friends. Nothing mechanically wrong with it, and if you enjoy mesh bracelets, you may feel completely different, but for me, it never really elevated the watch the way the watch head deserves. My second gripe has to do with the jump date indicator itself. While I really came to appreciate the unique way A.B.Art displays the date, I do think the small red indicator can be difficult to spot when you're trying to get date at a glance, especially in a lower light condition. Personally, I think a yellow indicator would have accomplished the same design goal while providing a better contrast against the dial. And in my opinion, it wouldn't have changed the personality either. But I do think it would have made the date easier to read for the owner. But look, these are not deal breakers. Now, having said that, there's a lot to like about this watch. The first thing is the handset. I absolutely love the length of the minute hand. There is simply no question which hand is the hour hand and which is the minute hand. The size variation works extremely well with this style of watch, and on such a clean, minimalist dial, that kind of clarity matters. It may sound like a small detail, but legibility often comes down to decisions like this. I also really like the overall comfort. At only 6.5 millimeters thick, this watch almost disappears on the wrist. It slides easily under the shirt cuff, and it never feels bulky. And once I finally understood the setting it was designed for, that thin profile became one of the strongest qualities. And then there is the design itself, the clean Baja styling, the restrained use of color, the jump date display, and the simplicity of the dial all work together to create something that feels really deliberate. This is not a watch trying to impress you with excess. It's trying to be elegant, understated, and easy to wear. Most importantly, I like that this watch challenged me. It forced me to stop judging it by the standards of watches I normally wear and start asking, really, what is this actually designed to be? And once I did, I found a lot more here to appreciate. Well, there you go. The A.B.Art jump date. We put a link in the description just in case you want to go there, check it out, and see if it's right for you. Hey, you made it to the end of another video. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed what you saw today, please take the time to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It'll only take you a second, but it really does help. All right, we checked the time, and it is time to wrap this up, so we will close the show. My name is Jason with My Dude Watch. We'll do it all again next time, but wait, don't forget, dudes can't be late.
Dudes can't be late.